Seems like that's all we'll be able to uncover for today.
Paimon feels like we managed to learn a lot more here than up on the surface.
Yes. Assuming that everything we found is indeed connected to our suspect, then their timeline was probably something like this. A month ago, our suspect found a gun and took it home to disassemble it. Once he'd figured out its mechanics, he brought it back. In the following weeks, he used some parts to create his own makeshift musket and took it to the Fleuve Cendra for target practice. Then, a few days ago, he found his target and carried out the murder. Once the deed was done, he left a rainbow rose on the body, just like the scene in the novel.
That all makes sense to Paimon, but we're still no closer to figuring out the killer's identity!
The deceased was a resident of Fleuve Cendra. It's said that he was a poor, solitary man. Yeah, that's also something I'm trying to figure out. If we are indeed following the novel, and there's a story behind the murder, then this murder should be an act of vengeance. But according to our investigation, the deceased didn't have any enemies. He was no saint, but no one's heard of a rival who hated him enough to shoot him dead, much less care to leave a rose on his body. What message is the killer trying to convey, and to whom exactly? We've thoroughly investigated that possibility. He claims to have spent the whole day at the Opera House on the day of the murder, and the staff there have confirmed his account.
Okay, so he has an alibi.
Not only that, he lacks a credible motive as well. He has a family of his own, and both of his parents are still alive. I've looked into his records. He was adopted at the age of 6, and all the proper procedures were followed. There are also records of him at an orphanage before then. In the story, the mother of the 2 musketeers was murdered after the children turned 10. Of course, he could have changed the children's ages, but I don't want to assume anything without evidence. More importantly, I've also had a chat with him in person. He didn't seem like the kind of person who would pull the trigger to kill a man.
Then, what should we do now? We have all this new information, but it doesn't help us move forward.
Investigations take time. I didn't expect us to catch the culprit in just a single day. How about this? Let's spend the next few days filming with the crew. We can continue the investigation once we're done with the film. I'm sure that given time, new leads will present themselves.
Wait, but weren't you saying Intel is like small, remote islands in the middle of the sea just a moment ago? Wouldn't you just miss them if you were to stop looking?
Ah, but the book had more than one reference to the islands, Paimon.
Oh? What else did it say then?
As long as you spend enough time sailing through the fog, you'll eventually come across an island.